I've had this guitar for 14 months and I've done nothing to it. I don't even think I have restrung it. It sounds pretty good and plays alright. The neck is very dry and very, very dirty. Because like I said, I've done nothing to it. But my one big problem is the way that it looks. I don't like this mustard colour. I do, however, like the look of George Harrison's Telecaster. So I bought some wood stain and some satin clear coat finish varnish stuff. And what I intend to do is take off the strings and the neck and the hardware and the electronics, sand back the guitar, stain it, finish it. There we go. We're going to start by taking that apart. I'm trying to work out all the wiring, and I'll be watching this clip back a couple of times to help me out. So I'm sort of explaining this to my future self. So we've got 2 wires for the input and then 2 for each of the pickups. Now, the red and white wires here for the input there both connect to this knob, and I'm not going to mess that one up. The 2 wires furthest to the left connect to the 2 wires furthest to the left. That makes sense. Then we've got the other red is the other red. That one's okay. The other white is the other white. So now I just need to look at the 2 blacks, which are connected to the same spot. So I believe if I cut them 2 there, it doesn't really matter which one they go back on. So I want to cut these ones sort of close to there. Then cut that one there. Then we can unscrew that. Now, the one red one will cut. I really should just be doing this in the middle because it's going to be easier to solder. So now we can feed these wires back through. Feed these wires through. Now what I can do is take apart the last little bits of hardware, so that and these, and then we'll get the neck off. And here we go. That's off, which means the neck is now off. Started with some 80 grit sandpaper to take off the finish and the stain. Then I moved up to 120 once it was all off, just to smoothen it out and get rid of any scratches or anything that I caused while sanding. All I'm doing now is checking to see if there's any spots that I've missed around the edges, and there's just one little bit. So I'll quickly go back over this. The staining is done. I haven't put on any finish or anything like that, but in terms of just the staining, what I ended up doing was I, on a whim, tried to thicken up the outer portion of the guitar to sort of add some kind of sunbursty finish, but it just had this built up stain that looked ridiculous, so I ended up sanding back the top and just starting from scratch. On the edges it isn't great, but it still looks alright. I am actually quite happy with it. It's turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to. So I put the neck back on with all the hardware and the 2 pickups. I need to try and switch the input because the red wire, there it is, you can just see it, is a little bit too low. So hopefully if I flip that around it will be a little bit closer to that way and give me a little bit more room. But I got the soldering iron warming up. I need to strip the wires so I can solder them. And then we should be pretty much good to go. All we'll need to do after we put that back on is fix up the neck, do a little bit of oiling, a little bit of maintenance, but it's looking good. Also looks pretty good hanging up on the wall. I'm pretty happy with it. I was going to try and do all the wire stripping just by using my multi-tool, but that's just not a good idea. So, got the real ones. All the wires are stripped and I rotated this, so now I've got more room for the wires. If I remember properly, this red pretty much goes on the other red wire. This white one pretty much goes on the white wire. This red goes on the closer red wire. This white goes on the closer white wire, and the 2 black ones don't really matter which one goes where, I think. Now it's time for what could potentially be a very dangerous moment. That's a good start. I'm hearing buzzing, Buzzing changes depending on where it switches to. It sounds to the right of the speaker here, middle, sort of further away, different. So it's got to be correct, right? Perfect. And then perfect. Yes. Everything works. Right, I've got some of this tape and I'll just quickly cover up all the bits that I've done because it is pretty likely that the wires are going to be touching each other. So it's not pretty, but it works, and that's what's important. So now we can sort of chuck the wires in without too much of a worry, supposedly. That feels proper. That's in. That's done. Now all we have to do is the stuff for the actual note making. Aesthetically, everything is done. All we've got to do now is clean and oil the neck. We'll oil the guitar as well. Then we'll put on some new strings, fix up the intonation and the string height along here. While we do that, we'll also work on the action. But I've double checked that the pickups and all the knobs are working, which they are. So let's move on to fixing up the neck. I'm going to do a whole separate video about how to do this properly, but for now we're just going to do a bunch of time lapses or something. This is what the guitar sounds like. So we're just going to chuck the thingo in there and turn the thingo, and the thingo should be good. Wiring is done, neck is clean, body is clean, the action is done, the intonation is done, we've got no fret buzz, all the knobs and the electricals work, all the hardware is back on, the guitar is finished. We'll do a quick little demo, just play it for a little bit, do some more improv stuff. Literally everything I do on my channel is all improv. Maybe I'll switch to a song or two that I'm writing, but 98% of everything that I play on this channel is all just improvised and made up on the spot. And I don't know if that's a good thing, but let's do a little bit of a demo. Use a guitar properly recorded for the first time, well, ever, but for the first time like this. do something like that for a while, and I just did it.